All right, everybody, welcome to Derek's Discussions. We got Jimmy Tsiantoulas. How you doing today, Jimmy?
I'm doing well, Derek. How are you?
After my Yankees failed miserably in the postseason. My Giants, everybody's upset that they lost, on the Sunday, but I'm coming at it from a perspective of I'm pretty pumped. 6-2. I mean, that looks pretty good to me. And
Can't
with the
be mad at
trade,
that.
yeah, I mean, you can't hate that at all. And then obviously, just the sports world in general, it just seems like everything's working out right now. But first of all, Jimmy, for you, what is the motivation to get into the sports world?
I mean, it's always been a dream of mine ever since I was a little kid. Like, my dad really got me into sports when I was little. Like, I had played sports my entire elementary school, middle school, high school. Like, I played football for 12 years. I played basketball for like 10, lacrosse for 10. But I've always just wanted to be a part of the sports world, specifically like with the NFL and stuff like that. Like, it's always been a dream of mine to be right on camera, Sunday night football, like be one of those guys, the play by play. Like, that's always been a dream of mine. But hey, I mean, if I can get my foot in the door anywhere, anyhow, I'm not going to turn my nose at it. I've really started getting into like production. Like, I've been starting to do like video editing and stuff like that, and I've had a lot of fun with it. So whatever I can do, whether that be like on camera, behind the camera, journalism, like anything with sports, I'm all for.
And then, COVID happened and now it seems like COVID is basically over now. Did COVID have any impact on you, like when deciding, oh, I want to go into this field, oh, I want to go into that field? Did COVID have any impact, on you at all?
I mean, not really. Like, it's funny, right before COVID happened, for some reason I wanted to be like a history teacher just because I was a big history nerd in school. I always liked it. But I always thought of like I'm not a good teacher. I'm more or less just like I show people how to do it and then that's it. Like, I'm not very good at like explaining stuff like that. So I was really kind of like guided onto the sports com like path, like just because
Mhm.
me and my parents had like looked at other stuff that we could potentially do. She brought that up. So then junior year and on in high school, I was like dead set on doing it. COVID never really had like a big effect on it. Like, my senior year of high school, I was the sports writer for my school paper. So I mean, like, I wasn't really able to get like in-person interviews with people, but I was able to get like online interviews. So I mean, like, that was really the only like big thing that I guess like COVID really hit. But other than that, I mean, like, I didn't really have like the biggest effect by it.
And then obviously, we're both still young, going to be, part of the class of 2025 for Marist College if everything, stays on course. Is there any regretful moment of your life, whether it be like involving sports or just in general, that you look back on and wish like things turned out a little bit differently? And if so, kind of explain that situation.
I mean, honestly, no. Like, I've kind of gone with my head like just like my basically like a one track mind, like going to the sports. Like, I've never really had like a big regret. I've always like kind of gone into everything with an open mind. I've never really had like any like again like regrets. Like, I've always like really believed that what I was doing was the right thing. Like, yeah, every so often I can say I think of it like as, oh, I'm falling behind of everyone else around me, but then at the same time, I really do feel like I'm like right where I need to be or even ahead. So yeah, no, I mean, again, I know I said it already, but I wouldn't really necessarily say I had any regrets regarding anything sports.
And then, regarding sports, what would you say is like the happiest moment from a sports media perspective, not from like playing sports, but like you look back on it and was like, wow, either that was a great call or I'm so proud that I, mentioned that topic, whether it be in a discussion or whether it be in an argument, whatever that is.
Um, that's a good question. I mean, obviously, like, I can start off with like being the sports editor for my school's paper. Like, I mean, I was always like very like in touch with it all because again, like, I know you're not really saying like how like with me playing or whatever, but I was able to like really get a lot of good interviews with some of the athletes in my school, like that really like, and I was able to just put them forward on the paper. But coming here with doing MCTV with you and then all the other upperclassmen, like I it's funny, one of the debates actually, my favorite thing was that I called that the Eagles would make the Super Bowl, and I still lost that debate topic. So I mean, hey, no, sorry, not Eagles would make the Super Bowl. Eagles would make the playoffs. It was the seventh seed, but I mean
And
they
then,
ended up the sixth seed and they lost to the Bucks. But hey, I mean, like, I still called that, and I still to this day say that I called that, and I absolutely should have won that debate topic.
I mean, you did win that debate topic. It was just funny that everybody was bashing you about that topic because, I was up 1-0 and then obviously you got to make it 1-1. So you got it, but everybody was bashing you. And I was like, I look at it from a perspective of I picked the Vikings and you picked the Eagles. I was like, that's kind of a top toss up, and I didn't understand all the hate. And guess what? You won that, section, and obviously you deserve the credit because you got it right. But looking into the sports media world, who would you say is like your biggest impact? Like you want to not necessarily be them, but like a reason of like, hey, I want to go into this field, not necessarily because of them, because you always have your own reasons, but kind of like be like them and see what they've done in their career.
Honestly, I know like I really talked about like football, but Tommy Heinsohn recently passed away. One of like the Celtics broadcasters. He's really been like a huge inspiration on me because I've grown up watching the Celtics. Like he's very iconic in his Celtics calls, and I've always wanted to basically like put myself out there and kind of be like him in a way. Like he's really helped me like open my mind to being able to do all this stuff. And I mean, yeah, like I can't say more enough about the guy. Like he was just a fantastic figure on camera, and I would have loved to have met him.
And then obviously, we talk sports media world, everything going on. Like when you're watching just a typical sports game, because obviously everybody has, their own fandom per se. But when you're just saying a regular football game or whatever, let's just say Vikings, Eagles, let's be honest. Neither of us really, care to be honest. What are you looking at the game? Like, are you looking at the game from broadcaster's perspective as like, oh, I'm trying to get into this field perspective? Like what's your mindset, when watching like a regular game?
Yeah, I mean, back before I like really like had my goal set on becoming a broadcaster, I just looked at it as just a fan of football perspective. But especially now, whenever I'm watching these games, I always key in on how the broadcasters are doing. Like I really do put a lot of my focus now into how the broadcasters are doing, so maybe I can implement some of their strategies and how they call some of those plays and put that into my own like way of doing things. Like it's really like being in this entire like field at school, it's really opened my eyes to a lot of it, and I can like see how all these professionals are doing it and how they can impact me.
Is there anything in particular that you've taken from like anyone so far, or is it just like a combination of everything that they've kind of done in the entire broadcast?
I mean, I would definitely say it's like a combination of everything, but one thing that I really like to key on is using humor. Like I want to be like one of those guys that like yeah, he knows what he's talking about, but at the same time like I can like make a lot of people laugh while on camera. Um, it's funny. Me and one of my friends, like I had this saying last year. I was always like, "Whoa, Bucko!" As whenever something happens. So then my friend was always like, "Hey, if you ever make it into the broadcasting world, you should use that as your catchphrase." So if that ever becomes the case, you might hear me saying "Whoa, Bucko" on camera one of these days.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned catchphrases because I look back at because obviously I did broadcasting at my high school and I didn't realize I even did this, but like the one thing that apparently my dad, my mom, like everybody watched the broadcast said is I said alrighty like 15 times during the entire broadcast, and like that's kind of something that's kind of funny, but it's also kind of stupid. And then you look at other broadcasters who I look up to, Brent Musburger, Keith Jackson. Keith Jackson passed away and he called obviously the Rose Bowl the granddaddy of them all. Like, you always hear these voices and you always want to be a certain voice that you look down, that people look up to, 15 years, 20 years down the road. So obviously, we're still in college being a sophomore this year. What would you say, obviously, 10 years down the road that you'd like to say, I put my stamp on something? Like, what would that be? And like, what kind of motivates you to get there?
Well, that's another good question. It really makes me think. Like, obviously, like right out of school, I would love to like work in the like anywhere, like ESPN, like the NFL Network, any of that. But like, if I were to really like put a stamp on something, it would be just being able to, whether it be like behind the camera, on the camera. It really does like it makes me think that like I came from such like a small town, and like not a lot of people from my town like are able to do a lot of things. So it's like if I can make it, that'll be my stamp on it, saying that I came from essentially nowhere, and I'm like in the big city basically.
Yeah, I feel like that's, kind of similar. You from Massachusetts, me from Rhode Island. I mean, Rhode Island's even not necessarily it's tougher, but like nobody even thinks of us as a state, which makes it like even funnier that hey, the little kid from Rhode Island can get there. Like growing up in your childhood, like what was the influence on sports? Like did you just automatically like watch sports? Was it your mom or dad like not necessarily pushing you, but like watching it which made you kind of watch it? What was that kind of, experience like?
I mean, I would definitely say that my dad had the biggest impact on me. He really like helped me get into sports. Like he was the one him and my mom too. My mom also loved sports here and there, but my dad really had that biggest impact on me. But they both pushed me to go ahead and like play all these sports. And then I really like put a lot of my like appreciation in my football coaches growing up. Like they really made me like fall in love with the game because I mean as a little kid, you're always like kind of afraid of like getting hit and like all that contact and all that. But it's like when you have coaches like I did, like they make it seem like it's not like that big of a deal. Like they really like help you love the game even more when you're afraid. Like they work through all like your insecurities about it. They're really like, and I mean, yeah, there'd be times where it's like you'd want to punch your coaches in the face just because they're getting up in your face and screaming. But hey, I always like to think of it as like they teach us from a young age to be respectful young men, and they also taught us like how to love sports in general.
Yeah, and grow up too. And
Mm-hmm.
how have sports affected you as a person? Because you talk about, playing sports like early on, that affects you from a, teamwork, leadership perspective. But then, wanting to continue to be in sports even impacts you even more. So like what's the impact just of sports in general on you?
I mean, I already touched on it a little bit. Like I said, like it made me like very like a respectable like person. Like it really like helped me mature as a person. But in I guess like saying the same thing, it's like now I kind of want to show my appreciation for sports by going into sports. Like it taught me all of these things, like how to be mature and all that. And now I'm kind of showing my appreciation by staying with sports. And again, like it's also just like a love factor. Like sports has always been a giant part of my life, whether that be a fan perspective or now it's like I'm looking at it from like the broadcaster or anything else. Like it's just I love sports so much, and being able to come to school and learn from some of the greats like of ESPN. I mean, I know we have Riv there, like he's like a huge influence right now, and then we have John Brickley there too. It's like sports in general has just played like a giant role in my life, and I just want to keep showing that appreciation by sticking with it.
All right, so now we're moving on to part 2. This is my, favorite part, just talking sports. Sports are just they bring people together, and what I like to do on these podcasts and everything is, everybody has their differing opinions, but sports bring people together from a fan base perspective and as a nationwide thing as everybody is tuning in to watch something. And, first off, we got the World Series happening right now as of today, November 1st, the Tuesday. We got game 3, the Houston Astros and the Philadelphia Phillies. First off, who would have thought that this would be the World Series? I mean, the Houston Astros and the Philadelphia Phillies. I don't think I would have ever predicted that the Philadelphia Phillies would be in the World Series. I don't know about you, Jimmy.
Yeah, no, definitely not. I mean, like obviously you have teams like I mean the defending champions, the Braves. Like they got hot at the right time, and I really did think that they were going to make another World Series run. But again, you can't like not talk about the Dodgers when you talk about like postseason success. Like watching the Padres beat the Dodgers was very shocking to me because the Dodgers had the Padres number like all regular season, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
They had
like
them all
and
number all
yeah.
season long, and it seemed like honestly, the trade of Soto, you would have thought the Padres would have done something like after the Soto deal against the Dodgers, and in the regular season, they didn't do anything. They kind of slumped into the postseason. And I always thought once Soto came to the Padres, I don't care about the Fernando Tatis thing. I get it. He's not there, but I always had a sneaky suspicion that the Padres at some point were going to overtake the Dodgers. And guess what happens? They did, but obviously they didn't get to the World Series. And you look at this Astros team, And don't get me wrong, they have a good starting rotation. Verlander has not been the guy this postseason. Valdez, I tell people this way, Valdez to me is like a co-ace right now. He's pitching like a dominant guy who's 5'9", 165, throwing, 97. He's got sink, he's got rise, he's got everything on that fastball, but everybody talks about his fastball, but even his off speed stuff is pretty good. And Valdez is one of those guys that I think is the X factor for the Astros. I think you look at other positions, the Astros don't wow me, to be honest with you. I know that sounds crazy. They just seem like an overall good team. I don't know what your thoughts on the Astros are right now.
I mean, the Astros have been dominant for a while. I mean, like what? This was their sixth straight ALCS, and now they're in the World Series for like the third or fourth time in the past like 6 years. Like they kind of have a chokehold on the AL right now. But again, like I kind of agree with you. Like looking at the team, like they are a good team, but like again, like it doesn't very like wow me as much as it should. Like I really do think that like the Phillies have a great chance of knocking them off in the World Series, and I would love that too because I hate the Astros. I am just not a fan of them whatsoever.
It's funny to hear you say that you want the Phillies because I've talked with other Red Sox fans and they say that they want the Astros. And I'm just thinking to myself, I don't know if you know, but Ty, he's a Phillies fan. And I'm just thinking to myself, I don't like either team. Philadelphia has a, fan base that is a lot of which a lot of people hate. I don't necessarily get all the hate. I get it. They're passionate, but like they're not New Yorkers. They're Philadelphians. And to me, Phillies, this is what my prediction was going into the World Series, and I'm going to stick by it. So, first of all, the Astros going into the World Series had not lost a game. I said if the Astros win like the first two or the first three games, the Astros are winning the World Series. Now, with it tied 1-1, I'm picking the Phillies. I don't know if it's going to be game six or game seven or game five. I think it's going to be the Philadelphia Phillies. I know it seems odd to say that just because of how good the Astros are and the Phillies kind of on, you know, not nobody really knows about him. But looking back a little bit, Philadelphia Phillies, they made a move that literally no one is talking about right now. And to me, I think it's the biggest move and why they're in the postseason right now. Joe Girardi got fired in the middle of the year, and you add Rob Thompson. What are your thoughts on that and now where the direction is right now?
I mean, I completely think that changed the culture of the team. Like they weren't doing too hot right until they fired him, but hiring sorry, what
Rob Thompson.
Rob Thompson, yeah, sorry. I mean, I try to keep up with the MLB, but I don't know as much as I should. But I mean, but like hiring Thompson, like that really helped change the culture of the team. They got hot at the right time going into the postseason. Like that team is dangerous. And I mean, clearly, like they're 1-1 with the Astros in the World Series right now. Like I love that team. Bryce Harper's been one of my favorite players for a while. So I mean, like I I would love to watch the Astros lose yet another World Series. I'd love to see it.
So what's your prediction for the World Series? I'll actually say mine right now. I'm picking Phillies in six.
Okay. Yeah, no, I honestly I would say Phillies in six as well. That was my prediction going into the World Series.
All right. And now we're gonna go over to the NFL season. Obviously, today was a huge day, talking trade deadline. But first off, let's talk just NFL. This personally has been a weird NFL season. You're talking about teams that personally I didn't expect to be good, number one. And then number two, some teams that weren't expected to be good that I thought could be good and they are pretty decent. And then you're talking about teams that are just absolute busts, in my opinion. You look at this AFC West in particular, it just seems like every single team is just not that good this year. I'm kind of surprised in the Chiefs that they're 5-2, to be honest with you. I didn't think that they were going to be this good because of the Chargers, the Broncos, and the Raiders, and it just doesn't seem like the Broncos or Raiders are getting anything going. The Chargers are all right. I mean, who knows there? I mean, the other teams, it's kind of like a little surprising. The NFC West to me might be the biggest surprise conference when you're talking. I thought the Cardinals were going to be in contention. They're 3-5. It seems like there's controversy with Kyler Murray and Cliff Kingsbury. Who knows what's going on there? The Rams seem to be kind of in a tricky spot. Nobody really knows what's going on. San Francisco loses Trey Lance. People are saying Jimmy Garoppolo is better than Trey Lance. I don't know if that's true or not. It just seems like if you wanted to win, it's the right option, but I think Lance is going to be a great quarterback. But all right, first of all, who would you say is your biggest surprise?
Honestly, the New York Jets. Look, I mean, I know that's not like a bad take because no one would have expected the New York Jets to do this good.
Okay, okay. Before you continue, I said that the New York Jets and the Miami Dolphins are going to give competition to the Buffalo Bills. I said that at the beginning of the season. I wasn't sure about the Dolphins, but everybody was talking about the slander of Zach Wilson, all the offseason stuff. And I said, this guy is going to go out. I didn't think they're going to start out as good because of Joe Flacco, but I think where they are, 5-3, I'm not going to say I told you so, but I thought that they were going to be competing for that AFC East. I just had to put that out there that I, kind of knew the Jets were going to be coming.
No, I'm not going to take that from you because look, like I am very shocked, and look, like all the power to you with calling that. I'll give you that. But look, Zach Wilson, yes, he finally lost his first game starting this season to the Patriots, but look, he looked like a guy seeing ghosts again, dude. Like this guy, he's kind of detrimental to this offense. I am slandering this man. I don't think he's that good of a quarterback. Look, he's really not that good. Like in all fairness, dude, the Jets kind of played better with Joe Flacco, in my humble opinion. And I mean, like, dude, losing Brees Hall is huge. And Elijah Vera Tucker. Elijah Vera Tucker was playing fantastic this year. Easily one of the better guards in the league thus far. Losing those two for the offense is pretty tough. But dude, Zach Wilson, man, that game that he played against the Patriots, he's showing his true colors again. And but look, we're just gonna have to wait and see what happens, whether they win a couple more games or whatnot. But I think the Jets are gonna start like trending back down towards like just backwards, basically.
I can understand your point on Joe Flacco with the Jets because of his experience, but I believe there's something about Zach Wilson that I believe in. He seems like he has the right skill set. He can throw the ball. It seems like he's not running as much, which is kind of a concern for me. The real concern is that he's throwing interceptions. I think honestly he just needs to get a check down. I think Brees Hall was having a surprise year. I didn't think he was going to be that good. I thought the Jets' run game was going to be all right. I thought it was going to be solid. And then to me, what the real interesting point about the Jets is, you got guys requesting for trades. Elijah Moore, the guy in the defensive back hall, Bryce Hall. You got those two guys requesting for trades, yet this team is still succeeding. It doesn't make sense. You would think players want out because they're not getting playing time or they're not winning games, and it just seems like the Jets continue to have success. I
Well, I mean,
understand all your points on the Jets, but I,
yeah.
I think I think the Jets are still a good team. I believe in Zach Wilson. I think he needs more pieces when you're talking about the run game and the wide receiver game. I'm not saying he needs Brees Hall to go off like he has, but I think if Brees Hall comes back, let's just say next year, and has a solid year, I think the Jets are in a good spot.
And what do you think about the James Robinson trade? Like, do you think that was good for the Jets?
So James Robinson is an interesting topic you mentioned. Absolute beast the first couple weeks, which was a surprise. Ever since then, it seems like the Jaguars were either doing something with him or just something didn't seem to pan out. I think he needed a change of scenery. Um, Personally, I don't understand all the hate in fantasy of James Robinson. You look at his fantasy points projected, which I have him on my fantasy team, and it has him like 5 to 7 points. I'm like, no, this guy is going to get 10 points at some point. I think he's too inconsistent. I
Mm-hmm.
think what you're talking about for a backfield, if you're the New York Jets, maybe like a veteran guy, like if you like a younger. You remember when Mark Ingram was that veteran presence for the Saints
Oh
behind
yeah.
Kamara?
Oh
someone
yeah.
like that, I think, would be a good pairing. I think James Robinson's he's to me he's just too inconsistent because he's
Mhm.
either in fantasy going to give you 20 points or he's going to milk a dud and give you like 5.
Yeah.
Like you need like a personally if you're talking about fantasy from a fantasy points perspective, I'd want him to get like 15, 15, 15, 15, 10, 15, 15 in that range from a running game perspective and I think you'll be fine. I like the ad. You're only trading a 6th round pick, and I think he has the ability to have games where it goes off. I still think the Jets just need something. I think Zach Wilson's the right answer. I think their O line is solid. Their wide receivers are just they're there. Their tight end is just there. Their running backs are now fine, I guess. I think there needs to be more RPO game, personally. I think you're talking about a guy from BYU and Zach Wilson. Make the offense surrounded around him, not necessarily have an offense and make him adjust.
Yeah, no, I mean, you make great points there. I mean, I personally I did like the pickup of James Robinson. I really like he's kind of that like power guy that can go along with Michael Carter. Now Michael Carter's kind of that speed guy. You got Robinson who can really come down on like third down maybe and punch it in the goal line. And I mean like he could be a threat in the receiving game too. And if Zach Wilson like starts to learn pocket awareness and he can check it down, I think they'll be a little bit better off. But I just think Zach Wilson tends to play a lot of hero ball. He loves to chuck it
Yeah,
down the
that's
field, but
fair.
again, that could also be in part to his receivers not being the greatest. I mean, look, Garrett Wilson has been fantastic so far. I love the Jets drafting Garrett Wilson, but again, like Corey Davis, he hasn't really done much. Elijah Moore doesn't get playing time. He doesn't have chemistry with Zach Wilson because of that. Like, I just think that Zach Wilson really needs to like tone it down a little bit with like all that gunslinging and hero ball, and then maybe the Jets will be okay.
I think I completely agree on the gunsling, but I think part of the problem is not necessarily the offensive play calls, but I think all you got to do is just do a halfback screen, do more RPOs. I think he's not going to be forced to throw the ball downfield. And you mentioned an interesting point. Corey Davis out of Western Michigan. Love the guy. Absolutely love the guy in college under PJ Fleck. He goes to the NFL, and basically they don't know how to use him at all. Corey Davis is fine if you're talking about short passes, getting open quickly, separation he can get a little bit, but he's not a guy who's going to be able to do a route for 35 minutes while your quarterback figures it out. You got to understand Corey Davis is a solid receiver, but he's not a 1. He's like a 2 in the NFL. Yes, he was a number 1 at Western Michigan, but that's Western Michigan.
Yeah.
I
I
think
mean,
RPO game at the end of the day is where they need to go, personally.
yeah, no, if they branch out to the RPO game, I think the Jets offense could be even more dangerous.
Yeah, and we're talking about all the weaknesses of the Jets, yet they're still 5-3. It seems
Yeah,
like
no, I mean,
it's kind of funny.
yeah, I mean, they laid a smackdown on the Dolphins. I mean, granted, Tua didn't play, and that the Dolphins just didn't look like themselves that they've been playing up to right now. But like, look, you can't deny that the Jets laid an absolute smackdown on one of the better teams in the league.
I think when you're talking about biggest surprise for me is the Seattle Seahawks. Yeah,
I
you can say the Giants, but I'm not gonna say my own team because that's just too biased. I'm gonna say the Seattle Seahawks, and honestly, I don't understand everybody the love for Geno Smith. I understand, yes, he has the highest completion percentage of every quarterback. I get it. He's got receivers, he's got a run game. They're literally playing mistake-free football, and that's how they're winning games. Don't get me wrong, that's winning you games, but let's be honest, in the playoffs or whatever you want to do later on, it's not gonna do anything for you. They're playing similar to the way Daniel Jones is playing, which is mistake-free football. Don't get me wrong, that's fine, but it doesn't wow me. And that's what it seems like this NFL season. Everybody that's winning games is playing mistake-free football.
So are you pretty much saying that like these guys are afraid to like get a little bit more creative?
Correct. Basically what I'm saying with mistake-free football, they're doing like let's say you got guys open downfield, man-to-man coverage, and you got your running back open for a halfback screen. They're just checking it down. They're not going over the top. Which don't get me wrong, that can win you games because you're not throwing interceptions, but you're kind of playing scared. It's kind of like if you put in Zach Wilson in this category as a gunslinger, if you combination the gunslinger attitude and the check down reads, I think that's a great quarterback.
Hey, I may be biased, but the Patriots have been playing that way for so long. They really don't run an offense that wows you. It's just a very consistent offense. I mean, granted, now like obviously Brady left a while ago, but it's like, look, like that offense has worked for so long, and yeah, like that playing that mistake-free football eventually will open up some big plays down the field. But I personally like the mistake-free football. I really think that that's like an effective way to win. And clearly it is right now. I mean, like, yeah, it could bite you in the butt eventually. Like you could make a mistake in the playoffs when you really like you absolutely cannot make that kind of mistake. But look, mistake-free football right now, yes, it's boring, but it's effective.
The one thing I would say about the Patriots offense compared to these two, Brady getting the ball out quicker.
That yeah,
You
no,
can
that's
talk
totally
about Geno Smith getting the ball out, but it's not that quick. It's more like, okay, I'll read the field. Okay, there's that doesn't seem like there's a lot of pressure, which personally, if you're talking about O-line, that's working out. Their O-line is doing everything.
yeah.
But let's be honest, if you're going up against the Rams or a team with Bradley Chubb, like these guys are going to get to the quarterback where you can't necessarily play mistake-free football because you don't have the time in the pocket to, throw the football. So I think it works, but it's just I don't think it's going to work in the long run, if that makes sense.
Okay. I mean, do you foresee a Seahawks collapse?
I'm not go- well, what are you defining as collapse?
I mean, you're seeing how well they're playing right now. Like, do you foresee them like kind of falling off like midway through the season? Like they win, they lose a couple close games, and then after that, they just kind of revert to what everyone assumed the Seahawks would be this year.
All right, this is what I'll say. I don't think they'll revert to what everybody expected. I think the NFC West is going to get better. So I think when you're talking about the NFC West getting better, right now I would say if you were to predict the future, the Seattle Seahawks are a playoff team. Would you agree?
Right now,
Right
yes.
now. Okay. And I think that they fall out of that category. So I
Okay.
don't think it's a big collapse. I just think they just show quote unquote insecurities, if
Okay.
that makes sense. And I think the same thing will happen to the New York Football Giants. I get it. You can talk about the Giants all you want. They have a weak schedule, but like it's literally Saquon Barkley and their defense, and you have injuries. We've seen what happens with the wide receivers. They're just not receivers. They're literally like flex people. Like you're a third wide receiver on a normal team, and that's what you're putting out there, like five receivers of that category. It's just like, don't get me wrong, it's working, but like I don't see it to work in the future when you're talking about teams like the Bears with getting Claypool, the Packers getting back. I think the Buccaneers, Brady will figure it out. San Francisco's got McCaffrey now. The Rams, Stafford's going to figure it out. Kyler and Kingsbury are going to figure it out.
I
And
I
then you
want
look
I
at
want
the
to touch on this.
AFC, you
I
talk
want to
about other teams getting better that are worse. I think just teams are going to get better. And I think the teams that are doing quote unquote fine right now are going to get worse.
I do want to touch on one thing with the Cardinals. I personally don't see them turning it around this season. I am not a fan of Kingsbury. I think that he's a horrible coach. I think that they should axe him. And again, Kyler Murray needs to show some maturity. He really needs to take more accountability. This offense has been pretty stagnant, and that defense has been pretty lackluster.
This is what the one thing I'll say about the Cardinals. Rondale Moore and Hopkins have been playing well. I don't think what I'm saying about the Cardinals is I don't think they'll be trash like you're alluding to, but I think if you're talking about what the Cardinals expectations were and what they are now, I think they'll meet in the middle. I think they'll end up having like 7 or 8 wins roughly. I think they'll be around the same record that the Seattle Seahawks are going to be, but a little bit better. If you're alluding to that, I think that's what they'll be. I'm not saying that they're going to be back, but I'm saying if you're comparing the Seahawks to the Cardinals at the end of the season, I think you're going to look at both teams and you're going to say, okay, that's a pretty even matchup.
Totally valid.
All right. Now let's move on to the trades. Obviously, you got, some trades that, let's be honest, nobody could care less about. The McCaffrey trade happened before the trade deadline. That's it. To me, that's one of the most interesting trades that happened this trade deadline. What are your thoughts, number one, just on the McCaffrey trade?
All right. The Kyle Shanahan scheme works for a lot of running backs, but bringing a dynamic guy like McCaffrey, like I mean, we saw it this past weekend. Like he's fantastic in that offense already. Like,
See, the one thing I'll say is it's interesting. You got Debo. Let's be honest. Debo can play. He's versatile. Kittle, versatile. McCaffrey, versatile. On an offense, how much versatility can you have?
you know, I
That's the
feel like
question to me. That's the question. I think you can have. I think it works. I think it's perfect because of
I
Jimmy G, but
yeah.
I'm not sure if it's going to work when you get Trey Lance in there.
You know what? That totally fair. I think you can't have enough versatility. I think having a lot of versatility on an offense is a good thing, in my opinion. But what you're alluding to with maybe it might not work with Trey Lance. I think it might even be better with Trey Lance.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't
It
know. I mean,
scares me. It scares me. It
why
scares
why
me.
does it scare you? Why?
Okay. So the offense that they have right now is kind of what we alluded to with mistake-free football. Would you agree or no?
I would agree, yes.
Okay. If you put Trey Lance in there, you got Debo, Kittle, McCaffrey. If you have Trey Lance in there, once you want more of a back, if you know what I mean by back, more of a physical back in the backfield,
Yeah, no, that's fair.
that's one point I have. Number two is Trey Lance is a young guy, and you got three weapons who are going to want the ball. Now, they're going to have to get a lot less touches. In my opinion, if Trey Lance is a quarterback, those three guys are going to get less touches because I think there's going to be more quarterback run, more RPO, that type of stuff. Where I think, not that you got to trade one of those guys because they're all fantastic and you wouldn't trade them, but it's kind of a difficult situation for Trey Lance to, get those three elite targets the ball.
I mean, look, you're talking about how all these guys are like they want the ball. Kittle, Kittle has got to be the one of the most down to earth guys. Like he's not going to care at all about getting the ball. Like he's had like barely any usage for the entire season up until this point. He's mainly being used as a blocking guy, but he's loving it because the team's winning. McCaffrey, he's coming from a terrible team, which yes, he did get a lot of usage, but again, like he's on a winning football team now. I don't think that getting the football is going to be his main concern. The only guy that I'm worried about is Debo because he was being kind of a diva about being used as both a running back and a wide receiver. He wanted to get paid, which again, yes, I totally agree that he should have gotten paid and he did, and I'm happy about that. But like if Trey Lance were to come back into this offense and they do implement the run a lot more, I don't think it's going to be that much like that big of a deal.
Here's something for you. So let's say Trey Lance is a quarterback. Let's just say next year. This is the formation I would do. You might think I'm crazy, but defenses are gonna absolutely hate it. So in the backfield, you're gonna have three backs. You're gonna have McCaffrey, Devo, and Kittle
Oh my.
with Trey Lance in the backfield. That is to me, if you're a defense, I don't know what the play is gonna be. I'm literally calling timeout because I want them to switch the play.
That's terrifying. Lining up against that, that's terrifying.
To me, that would be not my number one play, but that would be like if you're talking about getting a 2-point conversion or just getting a touchdown, like fourth and goal or something like that. To me, that's perfect because I don't know whatever play you're gonna do, even if it's just a run by Trey Lance, if it's a handoff to McCaffrey, handoff to Debo, or even a handoff to Kittle. I don't know how a team is gonna stop that.
Yeah, no,
That
and I mean, and you could also go into they could even run like a wildcat with like Debo or McCaffrey. Like that opens up
yes.
so many possibilities for that
Or
off.
even Kittle.
Yeah, even Kittle, like running like I mean, we've been seeing the Giants run wildcat a lot with Saquon this year. I love
Oh,
like
I
team
love it.
like doing the wildcat. I think it really switches up the offense and brings a lot more dynamic like a dynamic view to the offense. And if the 49ers were able to implement that in some way, I think that that team can be very scary for the foreseeable future.
The one thing is, I think if everything comes back, Trey Lance is a quarterback next year. If Trey Lance can catch the football, I think it's game over. I think it's game over. It's
Dude.
game over.
Oh
It's
my
game over.
God.
All right.
That's terrifying.
It is terrifying. Okay. So obviously we got other trades that happened. The Roquan Smith to the Ravens to me is another interesting one. I like that trade if you're the Ravens. I think you needed something. Don't get me wrong. I love Kyle Hamilton at safety, but something's going on the Ravens defense that's kind of disappointing. The Claypool we talked earlier about the Bears. That's another interesting trade. Another interesting trade. William Calvin Ridley to the Jaguars. That's interesting in its own right. So those three interesting trades. What are your thoughts on those two? Obviously, they're not, to me, in my opinion, blockbusters. They're trades that are going to be a huge impact to a team, but not necessarily, the big trades in Roquan Smith to the Ravens, Claypool to the Bears, and Ridley to the Jaguars. What are your thoughts on those three?
Um, the Roquan Smith trade to the Ravens, I personally don't like for the Ravens. Personally, I don't because they already have like a good on ball linebacker in Patrick Queen. Yeah, like Roquan Smith's a great off ball kind of guy, but like, look, I'm coming from it from a contract perspective. He's on his last deal of his contract. And if he wants this money from the Ravens already have to give like a boatload of money to Lamar. Why are they bringing in another guy who wants all that money? Like, yes, he's a great player, and I think he'll bolster that defense like even more. But again, Lamar should be that team's number one priority. And if Roquan Smith throws a fit about not getting the money that he wants, then I think the Bears easily win that deal with getting those picks.
Well, so they get a second and a fifth in AJ Klein. AJ Klein is one of those guys that's to me underrated in that trade. I think it's fair. I think you need leadership, but I completely understand your point on the Ravens contract situation. That's tough. But what are your thoughts? Obviously, Claypool, second rounder, we both found that to be kind of a downgrade. But to me, what's interesting is Calvin Ridley to the Jaguars.
Dude, I mean, yeah, like he's still suspended for the entire season, but
Who
when he comes back,
cares?
that offense, I mean, Trevor Lawrence, he's finally got that number one guy. Like, I mean, look, like, yeah, they threw all that money to Christian Kirk, which it sucks or whatever, but like Christian Kirk's a great wide receiver too. He can be a great wide receiver too, alongside Calvin Ridley. I personally love that move for the Jaguars.
Yeah, I think the Jaguars are in a good spot. You get Ridley, your one. Kirk is your two. There's another weapon they have that's good too. Tight end might be a question mark though. Running back for the Jaguars is like somewhat of a question mark.
I mean, Travis Etienne has been playing pretty good this season.
To me, he's a good back, but I think you need someone more fit. I think you need a better complement, like a more physical back, kind of like what the Saints did with, because Etienne he's nowhere compared to the player of Kamara, but he
Mhm.
reminds me of that type of back where you kind of want a physical back with him. That would be my only question mark with their offense, and the offensive line's fine. I think they're good. I think Trevor Lawrence is. I think the one thing with Trevor Lawrence is he was so hyped up. Where I don't think he's gonna be that guy. I think he can be Kirk Cousins or a little bit better, but he's not gonna be a Joe Burrow, that level. And because you've seen this, they're getting pieces to make him look better. He's still not gonna look like Joe Burrow and
I
get that.
mean, I mean, honestly, I personally like Trevor Lawrence coming out of Clemson. I think that he does have a very high ceiling, and he's on a team right now that's still trying to find out its identity. But as soon as the Jaguars are able to figure out exactly what kind of team they are, I think Lawrence is going to take that next step and potentially become one of those upper echelon kind of quarterbacks. In not maybe not in the near future, but at a certain point in his career, I do believe that he will be in the upper tier of quarterbacks.
I see your point. I just don't. I'm not a believer in Lawrence just because I think if you look at quarterbacks, you look at Joe Burrow. Let's be honest, he had a crappy team his first year. He still performed well. What did Lawrence do? I get it. You can complain all about you want about Urban Meyer. Guess what? It's about performance. It's not all about the coaches. He didn't perform. He just didn't perform. This year, he's performed okay. I get it. Now it looks like he's fine, but you need pieces around him. I don't know. I think they need I think you're right on identity. I'm just not sure a rookie quarterback or a young quarterback without an identity, without a team's identity, can figure it out 5 years down the line.
Maybe not, but at the same time, we don't know. It could happen. It could not.
And then we got TJ Hawkinson to the Vikings. This to me is interesting. This news broke in one of my classes, and we were speculating, okay, what is Hawkinson gonna get? We were thinking, and we saw 4 picks. So I was thinking Hawkinson for 4, 5, 6, and 7. That's not the story at all. So Hawkinson, a fourth rounder and a conditional fourth rounder, is going to the Vikings for a second and a second round this year, third round next year. Interesting trade. I think it's too much for Hawkinson. That's my opinion. I think he's a great tight end, but I'm not sure I'd give up a second rounder for Hawkinson.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the Vikings gave up a little too much for him. But at the same time, though, you kind of have to put it in the perspective of they just lost like their starter Irv Smith for 8 to 10 weeks with a high ankle sprain. They needed to do something. Hawkinson was a guy that was on the trade deadline. He's in that like above average to like
Oh,
he's
he's
like
good. He's
he's in
better than
that
above
upper tier
average.
of tight ends. He's fantastic. I mean, look, I think again, I think the Lions won this trade just with the haul that they were able to get.
Oh yeah.
But the Vikings are a contending team. They needed to make a move. I think trading for TJ Hawkinson was the right idea. But but I just don't see what the Lions were doing trading with the divisional opponent. Like that like I feel like that's like something that you just don't do.
Yeah, I completely agree about that you don't do, but when you're talking about trading Hawkinson for a second round pick, I don't think there's any team in their right mind that would trade Hawkinson for a second round pick. I
Yeah.
don't care if you're giving up 2/4, but I get it, your point on getting Hawkinson. I don't think you needed Hawkinson. Hawkinson is a guy who, to me, is like a top 10 tight end, top 5, top 10 in that range tight end. You don't need that if your guy just got hurt 8 to 10 weeks. Just get a gap filler.
Well, then, like, who do you think that they could have gone out and got instead of Hawkinson?
I don't know, another tight end that's not elite. I mean, I don't know. I don't know all the tight ends right now, but
No, that's fair.
let's be honest. Tight end is one of those positions that you either know the elite ones or you know the. I mean, Noah Fant would be a guy you could consider. I'm not sure Seattle would trade him. That's a guy. There's other tight ends out there. I don't know them off the top of my head.
Yeah, I
Not
mean,
a
like,
not a big tight end fan, to be
yeah,
honest
no, I
with
mean,
you.
like, I feel like someone that like the Vikings could have potentially gone for was Hayden Hurst. I don't know if the Bengals had him up on
Yeah,
the trade block, but like Hayden
yeah,
Hurst would have
I
been a nice
agree.
like little like bridge guy.
I agree completely. All right. Now, probably I guess you would say surprising. It's kind of more interesting than surprising, I guess you'd say. So Bradley Chubb is going to the Dolphins along with a 2025 fifth round pick for Chase Edmonds, who's kind of like their, I guess you'd say, backup running back, maybe starter, kind of like the second, first round pick, fourth rounder. Once I saw the trade of Bradley Chubb going to the Dolphins, I was like, okay, that makes sense. Then I see Chase Edmonds in the deal. I don't know necessarily the entire Dolphins backfield necessarily, but it seems interesting to be giving up a running back. It seems like you can't just have Tua Tagovailoa be throwing the ball to Tyreek Hill. Maybe Tyreek Hill is going to be getting more in the run game. I mean, I get it. They got Miles Gaskin and Mostert. I guess you're going to be seeing. Oh, and they also got Jeff Wilson
Yeah,
in
I
the
was about to
trade.
say that.
So,
Yeah, they traded
so
for
that
Wilson
makes actually
after.
sense. You kind of got Jeff Wilson to back that up. So that makes sense. What are your thoughts then from the Denver Broncos
I mean, I
perspective?
the Denver Broncos perspective, I
Yeah.
think it was a great trade because it's a team that one hasn't really been able to figure it out. I mean, Bradley Chubby's been a fantastic edge rusher again, but it's a guy who can't really stay healthy either. So like in recent years, he's been pretty injury prone. So it's like that team really needed to do something, and sending Bradley Chubb to another team, potentially like getting some capital back. Like I think that was a great move.
Yeah, I like the first round and fourth round. The only question mark is Chase Edmonds. I'm not sure that fits. Melvin Gordon kind of wanted somewhat out. It seems like not that you have a crowded backfield by any stretch of imagination. It just doesn't seem like your backfield wants to be a part of the team.
No, I mean, other than that, I mean, they had Latavius Murray, who's a fossil.
Yeah, it just didn't seem like the Broncos
No,
really
I mean,
want.
but honestly, I do like the addition of Chase Edmonds for the Broncos just because he's kind of like that speed guy, really like Hell, I mean, like, look, Javonte Williams, that loss was detrimental. Like, he again, he's kind of like a power back, but again, he's pretty quick. Chase Edmonds, he really opens up like the receiving game out of the backfield as well. Melvin Gordon, I mean, like, yeah, he's a decent receiver, but Chase Edmonds can be used as that like 1-2 punch kind of guy
Okay,
with Melvin Gordon.
I got you now. Bradley Chubb going to the Dolphins. Before we touch on Chubb going to the Dolphins, with this trade, do you think the Denver Broncos are still in contention for the playoffs? And also, okay, so no, uh, which I kind of anticipated, the no, but what are they gonna do with the first round pick though? Because to me, you still have Judy, you still have Sutton. It's probably gonna be a late first round pick. I like the late first round pick. I like wide receivers and tight ends in this draft. Two guys I'm looking at is Josh Downs, wide receiver from North Carolina, and Michael Mayer, tight end from Notre Dame. Those are two guys, but I don't think the Broncos need those pieces. So I don't know what the Broncos are really trying to do. Um,
I
if you're
mean,
talking
like,
about draft.
potentially they could like trade that pick and maybe get something else. But again, like I do like the potential addition of like another receiver or a tight end, but it's like I think their main focus right now should be trying to retool that defense again. Like that defense can be great. And I mean, yeah, it's been playing all right. Patrick Surtain's been playing like a fantastic corner, top 10 corner in the league, in my opinion, right now. But like I don't know. It's like it's hard to say right now, like what they could potentially do with that.
Because I like this Broncos team. I think their offense is solid. I think a back could be a guy maybe in the late first round you get. Not sure I really like any of the backs. I think you trade if you're talking about up in the draft. There's Will Anderson who could replace Chubb. I'm not sure you're gonna find that type of guy later. It seems like pass rushers go early. The fourth round pick, though, to me is interesting in 2024. If you're talking about getting a 2024 fourth round pick, excuse me, I think you could see the Denver Broncos getting a quarterback in this draft. Now, I'm not saying early on, I'm saying late because of, Russell Wilson, them being not too happy. That's the only thing I'd say. But now, what are your thoughts on Bradley Chubb going to the Dolphins?
I think that makes the Dolphins defense very scary. Like that team already has been fantastic. Like that defense, like yeah, they've been letting up a decent amount of points, but like look, you need a solid number one pass rusher in this league nowadays, and getting a guy like Bradley Chubb really makes that defense scary.
Yeah, I think Ogba is a guy out of Oklahoma State I
Oh
like on the defensive line. Christian Wilkins, he's kind of been disappointing, but I still like him. Their linebacking core to me is their weakness. So you add a guy which and Bradley Chubb, which pretty much just makes your linebacking core now kind of relevant. Their defensive backs are kind of a strength, in my opinion. You got Xavier Howard, you got Byron Jones. Those are two guys I like.
Javon
Uh,
Holland, I love.
he's a sneaky guy, I think. I
Yeah.
think he's not getting a lot of love, but I think he's good. I think this Dolphins team has the ability to do good. I think it's kind of like up to Tua. I think one question mark for me with the Dolphins would be run game.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, like they don't have like a solidified number one back because I mean, Raheem Mostert, yeah, he was a starter in San Fran, but it's like he's not like a guy that you could really see as a number one back. He's really seen as like another like a number two, number three kind of guy. Like if they can go out, I mean, like I know the trade deadline already like came and went, but like I really think that running back is something that the Dolphins should look to bolster maybe in the offseason or maybe through the draft. Who knows? But other than that, I mean, like everything else on paper, this Dolphins team can be really good. I just think Tua just needs to play to his strengths and see what happens. I mean, like their offense has just been electric so far.
All right, so obviously we talked NFL trade deadline. We're just gonna go quickly. Obviously, you're Patriot fan. So who do you like more, Bailey Zapp or Mac Jones?
I would love to say Zapier, but I got to stick with my number one, Mac Jones. Like,
Oh,
it's like, dude, they're both not great. Like, they're both. I can't see them as like this world beater of a quarterback. Like they're going to be like these bridge, like Bailey Zappi is more as a bridge guy than Mac Jones is. Mac Jones can be a capable starter. He's just having a really bad year too right now. But I do believe that maybe like after the halfway point, he can potentially turn it around. Like I don't see the Patriots making the playoffs this season, but I do see them like playing better.
Yeah, I think I completely agree. I think I like Zappy a little bit more than Mac because I think Zappy's ceiling is a little bit higher than Mac because I think he's got more mobility. He just seems like a guy who can do more than Mac, but I think Mac is more of like a stopgap. But this is what I would say. I think the Patriots are I think with Bill Belichick at the helm right now, I think they're going to stick with Mac Jones. But I think once Belichick leaves, I would not be surprised if Patriots look for another quarterback at all. I think Patriots 4-4 right now. You know, there's contention to be in the playoffs. Do I think they're going to make it? I don't really know. I mean, it's kind of just like they're out there right now. It seems like they're pretty much average. Although quarterback, I think whoever's the quarterback for the New England Patriots, whoever it is, whether it be Brian Hoyer for if they put Hoyer in, which they're not going to do, whichever the quarterback they choose for the rest of the season, this is one thing that they need to do. Whoever it is, they need to have confidence because right now you're looking at these quarterbacks, they don't have confidence. That's why they're losing. Like if you have confidence in the quarterback, they'll be okay. But right now, confidence is the biggest question mark.
Yeah, I mean, like confidence has been a huge killer so far. Like, I mean, Mac Jones, like he was playing not the best football to start the season. He gets hurt. Zappy goes in. The fans were loving Bailey Zappi, and I think that killed Mac because it's his team, and seeing like a guy like a fourth rounder coming out of Western Kentucky potentially take his job, like typically that should light a fire under someone. But I don't know what happened to Mac, but he's just playing even worse. Like he really needs to like pick it up right now because I think the Patriots can do something if he ends up playing as the quarterback that he was seen to be. Like yeah, like guys like him coming out of Alabama, they're seen as the most pro ready, and right now he is not seeming like he was pro ready. His rookie year he seemed fine. He's like top like one or two in that draft in my opinion right now, like quarterback wise, just because of how pro ready he was. But like again, but even with Zappy, like he's a guy coming in from like the smaller school, and like he's been playing like better. Like he seems like to be like a pro ready guy compared to Max. So I don't even know. It's like there's a lot of questions right now that the Patriots need to figure out when it comes to quarterback. And again, I know I'm going to keep reiterating it. Mac Jones is our guy, and he needs to be able to take control of this team again, like he once did last year. And his teammates need to like help with his confidence because they need to do something.
Yeah, I think whoever the quarterback is needs confidence. I think with the two quarterback quote unquote system that they tried out last game or the game before, it just didn't work out. And that's kind of where the Patriots season kind of is right now, where they need to figure out who that quarterback is, get them confidence, build them, and figure out what the future holds. And now we're going to move over to the New York Football Giants, my football team. Reports just happened 5 minutes ago. Odell Beckham Jr. could be coming back to the New York Giants. Joe Shane said he's open to bringing him back. That's certainly something interesting. Odell, though, has mentioned the New York Giants not to be on his team's list. It's been the Packers, the Bills. There's been other teams mentioned as well, but the Giants have not been listed in his top four. What are your thoughts first on the Odell situation?
I mean, like I didn't think that he would ever like think about going back to the Giants. Just I never really thought of it. But I mean, like if he does go back, like yeah, that opens up another like that opens something up for the team. But like he's coming off a major ACL injury. Like who knows like how explosive he's going to be again. Like yeah, he could like probably be inserted and be that number one guy again. But it's like I don't know. It's like it's tough to say just because of like what he's coming off of. But even then, like I personally don't think he's gonna go to the Giants.
Oh,
But
I
I think
completely agree.
I think it'd be pretty cool if he did go back.
I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's just surfaces happening to bump up boop up his price range. I don't get me wrong. I think Odell would work fine with the Giants. I just not sure about the injury. I think he wants to win and win. I don't think the Giants are a Super Bowl contender. I think they're just gonna be a playoff team, and if something happens, they can win. I just don't see it happening. But when talking about the New York Giants, Daniel Jones, that's a quarterback this year. Giants fans seem to like, I guess you would say. What would you say? What Giants fans' thoughts on Daniel Jones is?
I think the Giants fans are just buying into the hype of how good the team is doing this season so far. Like he's playing to save his career. If he had another like bad year like he has been, I think he would have been axed immediately. I think the Giants, if Daniel Jones didn't play up to par of what they could potentially do, I think the Giants are like if they end up like if they were gonna do bad this season, I think they were gonna potentially look at drafting another quarterback.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, but I mean, but like Daniel Jones, he's been playing great right now. Like we had talked about, mistakeless football. Like he's been playing like smart football, and I think that Brian Dable has really helped him with that. I think Dable should be the front runner for Coach of the Year, how he's been coaching the
Oh yeah.
Giants. But look, Daniel Jones, he's not that guy. He's just been playing all right football right now.
So, because I honestly can't. I'm a Giants fan, and I can't read into the situation with Giants fans if they like Daniel Jones or don't. Do you think Giants fans number one, do you think Giants fans like Daniel Jones? And then obviously you alluded to this as you don't think Daniel Jones is a quarterback. Should the Giants like look for a quarterback this year since you don't think that Jones is the guy?
I think, well, with in regards to Giants fans liking Jones, I think this season they like him, but in recent years they didn't like him. It's all just about like the image of playing in New York. Like you need to produce immediately, and I think a lot of the Giants fans are buying into the Daniel Jones hype right now. But I wouldn't put it out of the question with the Giants potentially looking at upgrading a quarterback at some point, whether that be in the draft or whether that be through trade in the offseason or whether that be through like free agency, whatever. But like, I don't know. I just like, I know I already said it and I know you just touched on it. I just don't think Daniel Jones is that guy. And I think the Giants are just kind of buying into the hype of how good the team's doing this season.
All right, so you mentioned trade. Who would the trade candidates be?
You see that now that's a tough
Jordan
question.
Love is a guy that I'm not saying I would consider that, but that's a guy that comes to my mind. I'm just trying to think of other quarterbacks out there. That seems to be like the only guy that I mean
Yeah,
would come
I
off
mean,
the tip of the tongue.
right. Baker, that's another name that comes to
Oh
mind. But
God. Ugh.
yeah, yeah, no, trust me, I know that was just
Oh.
the name that came to mind.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
But
No.
what do you think of potentially like a Jacoby Brissett? I know he's another bridge guy, but like when Deshaun comes back, like and if he ends up playing like to his standards again, do you think that the Giants could potentially make a move for Brissett? Because he's been playing pretty good this year.
Okay, so this is my opinion. I think it depends on the price range of Daniel Jones. If Daniel Jones is like the same price as Jacoby Brissett, I just keep Daniel Jones and I ride with him as
That's
my
fair.
quote unquote stopgap. Now, if he wants $15 million and wants more than Jacoby Brissett, then yeah, I'll take Jacoby Brissett. My opinion on the New York Giants football team at quarterback has remained the same. I don't love Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is fine. To me, he's a stopgap. That's my personal opinion. However, I don't understand all teams hating on Daniel Jones. I think Jones is fine. I think he's below average as a starter, but I don't think he's like terrible by any stretch of the imaginations. I think this season is how he's going to play for the rest of his career. Average football, kind of like what we've seen. I I want Arch. I don't care that I have to wait 3 or 4 more years. I don't care about that. I've learned my lesson through teams. There's certain teams that I expect to win every single year, but I understand if you want to change things because if you're not winning, that's you kind of got to change things. I'm more of a patient fan than most people would expect, except for when it comes to the Yankees. I want to win a World Series, or I just want to be patient. I can't be in the middle where they are right now. I want Arch. I think what you do is if you want to keep Daniel Jones, you give him a 3 or 4 year contract worth $10 million. If they can get like 3 years, $30 million, I think about doing that. I really do. Um, if not, Jacoby Brissett's a guy that's not bad. Kirk Cousins, that's a situation that I might look into. I'm not saying I'd give Kirk Cousins the amount of money that he's looking for. I'm saying, if the Vikings realize they want Kellen Mond isn't there, but they want to move on, that's a guy I look somewhat interested in. Derek Carr, I don't know what the Raiders situation is. That's a quarterback I'd look at for a couple years, 2 or 3 years. Those are some guys that come to my mind about the quarterback position. But my reluctance to draft a quarterback is, number one, this year we're good, so I don't draft a quarterback late in the first round. That's just not what I do. Second, I don't really like the quarterbacks coming up real soon. It's just kind of like a okay quarterback class. There's a Derek that might be committing to Clemson. I think his name is Derek Lawson. That's a guy that's interesting to me. Um Carr, the grandson of a Michigan quarterback who's going to Notre Dame. That's a guy I like as well. When you're talking about future draft classes, I just think right now you're looking at these college quarterbacks. None of them really wow me, to be honest with you. The high school quarterbacks that are coming into college are more wowing some than others. So I think if I'm the Giants, I keep Daniel Jones for 3 years, $30 million. Get like a quote unquote stopgap and get Arch Manning. I think that's kind of the situation I like. And that's
Now,
kind of where I am with the quarterback situation.
now if they don't go the Arch Manning route, what do you think of like a Quinn Ewers?
I don't I mean Quinn Ewers would come before him. So
True. Yeah. No, that's what
there's
I mean.
certain
Yeah.
quarterbacks that I'd go for. Quinn Ewers is interesting. I would need to see more. I'd be more interested in there's other quarterbacks out there. It all depends. Cade is a guy from Clemson,
Mhm.
who's a freshman. He's decent. I don't love him. He's all right. I need to see more. I mean, like I said, I think the high school senior quarterbacks right now are looking better than some of the quarterbacks in college right now, but I can guarantee you, let's just say, for instance, there's a quarterback that comes to mind. I don't know, quarterback, a freshman, let's just say from Ole Miss, like Jackson Dart is a quarterback. He interests me a little bit, but I'm not sure I'd like if Jackson Dart was coming out this year. All right, and you can draft him late first round. That's a quarterback that would kind of interest me. Will Levis is a guy this year somewhat interests me. I'm not in love with him. I think he's like decent, but see, this is what I think the Giants need to do: continue to be good. Hopefully, they make the playoffs. And like I mentioned earlier about the wide receiver, tight end position, those are the positions the Giants are lacking. You can tell me all you want about Daniel Bellinger. I'm not too high on him. I think he's a good, solid tight end. But if you have a chance to get Michael Mayer from Notre Dame or Josh Downs at wide receiver from North Carolina, you get those guys. Those are the guys I want for the New York Football Giants. I think their defense is set up fine. I think they have some other question marks besides the quarterback position that they might need to address before getting the quarterback.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. That defense, I don't think they should touch that defense, but that offense definitely.
Cornerback, you could add some guys, but I think
Yeah.
offense, it's kind of like whatever. I like the
Mm.
offensive line though. I think the bigger question is Saquon Barkley. And I don't know how much money he's going to get after this year. I don't know how much money he's going to get. I really don't. It really depends. I'm not trying to pay Saquon $20 million a year. I'm hoping for 15. I'd probably do a short-term deal for Saquon. This is what I would do if I'm the New York Football Giants. Resign Saquon. Let's say 2 years, 30 million, or 3 years, 30, or in that range, like 10 to $15 million a year. Resign him and see how it goes with Daniel Jones. If we can win with Daniel Jones and like make the playoffs and win a Super Bowl, I'm completely okay with that. If we can't and we're just kind of borderline like we've seen the Yankees over the past couple of years, that's fine too. And then when you're looking at quarterbacks and let's say you see Arch, like let's say you got a 3 year deal with Saquon, and let's say in that third year you look at it and you see quarterback, Arch, you got Arch, Carr, all these guys you love. Trade Saquon. Trade Saquon to maybe the Bills trade him to a team that's in contention, and then you get another first round. I don't know if Saquon's going to get you another first round pick necessarily, but you're going to get other picks, and then you can trade up for that quarterback that you'd like. That's what I would do if I'm Joe Shane. But honestly, I like Joe Shane right now. I think he's one of my. I think he right now deserves front office of the year. If you're talking about a guy, I think him and Shane and Daboll deserve it. I think if you look at this Giants roster, it doesn't look like a playoff team in my opinion. To me, it looks like a 8-8 kind of eight and like around 500 team, and I'm pleasantly surprised. And Giants fans right now would hate me for saying this, but I'm not. I honestly like that they didn't go after DJ Moore, a Chase Claypool, like one of those guys. Personally, I don't see need. I would get maybe a Cooks for a third round pick, fill that role. Claypool, I like Claypool. Don't get me wrong, but if you're gonna get a receiver, you got to trade Galladay. I want to see what Galladay is all about. The front office in front of us paid him 4 years, basically $100 million, and he's not been productive at all. I mean, there's a reason we paid this guy. Let me see what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But what are your thoughts on the Galladay situation?
God, dude. Oh, that Galladay situation makes me so mad because he was so good in Detroit. And then, like, you get paid all this money to produce, and when you don't even play anymore, like that shows something. That shows me that you don't care. All you did it was for the money. And I mean, clearly the Giants are still winning without him. So like it's a huge it's a red flag paying like these receivers a lot of money like that. Like a guy like Galladay, where he could be like an above average to like an upper tier wide receiver. It really makes you question like these contracts that these wide receivers are getting.
So I got a question for you. Would you compare? This is what I was thinking as you were talking. Would you compare the Galladay situation with the New York Giants to the Ellsbury situation with the Yankees, or is that too far fetched?
I don't know. I feel like that's a little too far fetched.
Okay, so I see like a lot of similarities,
Okay.
but it's like the only question I'd have with that, comparison is obviously different sport, obviously salary cap in the NFL, and then also pretty much, Galladay has played. Like he's played. Ellsbury basically didn't play, but when Galladay's played, it seems like he's either knocking the ball or he's just his headspace is not there. Honestly, when talking about psychologists, I think he could. I'm gonna say it. I think he might want to see like a psychologist. I think something's going on, mindset wise. That's just not there.
Well, then you talk about mindset wise. Do you think you can kind of compare that to the mindset of Ben Simmons?
Nothing wrong with Galladay's game.
Okay.
I think Ben Simmons, he just doesn't have, going into the pros, he couldn't shoot the three and he didn't have a jump shot. He still doesn't have
Mhm.
that. Now he's just
Yeah.
scared of doing it. With Galladay, it's either he's scared to perform and the pressure is getting to him.
I think it's an entire mindset of like playing for a big city like New York. Like you need to come into like a city like that with the mindset of being able to perform like to standard.
All right. And Jimmy, do you have any last words for our listeners?
Um no, all I want to say is I mean like thanks for having me, Derek. I really appreciate it. I thought we had a lot of good conversations today.
Thank you, Jimmy, for joining me today on